Hello, my name is Christopher Burkett, and I will be showcasing my business EPW, also known as Elite Pro Wrestling. For this presentation, I will discuss what the brand is, sponsorship levels and exposure opportunities, potential sponsors we might need, our target market along with their potential objectives, and more. Now, for the brand overview. As I mentioned, I will be discussing Elite Pro Wrestling, or EPW for short. Since the WWF, now known as the WWE, purchased WCW in 2001, the company has created a monopoly on professional wrestling in North America. They have had no competition since WCW folded and have run unopposed since. While AEW, also known as All Elite Wrestling, is currently considered a competitor for WWE, they are not on the same level. With EPW, I plan to start from the ground up, eventually ascending to WWE's level while giving the fans what they want: professional wrestling as opposed to sports entertainment. Now for potential sponsors. The sponsorship opportunities for EPW are seemingly limitless. Currently, WWE has several sponsors that promote for their events, most notably with WrestleMania. Snickers has been WWE's most prominent sponsor when WrestleMania season rolls along. As stated in an article on Forbes.com, Snickers is the presenting sponsor of WrestleMania for the sixth consecutive year following the renewal of Mars Wrigley's long-standing partnership with WWE announced in February. The recent campaign leading up to the showcase of the Immortals includes custom video content featuring WWE superstars including Big E, Xavier Woods, The Miz, and King Corbin, displaying how out-of-sortness can be resolved with a Snickers, as well as the return of limited edition Hunger Bars featuring catchphrases from Roman Reigns, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, The Miz, and Sasha Banks. Although we may not be able to obtain major sponsors like Mars Wrigley, they are not outside the realm of possibility. Another thing we need to consider are the types of sponsors we target. Snickers is a good sponsor to have, but other sponsors such as Pizza Hut, Cracker Barrel, and Coke are good companies to consider for EPW sponsorships, as they would help with our target audience. Our target market will primarily be wrestling fans. Wrestling fans are one of the most passionate fan bases in the world, and having their support will go a long way in helping EPW to succeed. We will focus on families with children, as parents who are current wrestling fans or interested in wrestling might be inclined to bring their kids to our events. We also want to work on winning over new fans and increasing our market share. So we want to make our product as fan-friendly as possible. The objective of these target audiences is to increase awareness of our product, as well as TV ratings for our Tuesday night show, EPW Blitz, and pay-per-view buys. Now, for marketing concept and exposure opportunities. For our sponsors, there are many ways that we can promote them through our shows. Similar to what WWE does with Snickers, we can have our events and pay-per-views presented by a major sponsor. For example, for the company's first ever pay-per-view, First Blood, we can have the event sponsored and promoted by Pizza Hut. By doing this, we can give their sponsor name more exposure to our audience and drive customers to them. We can also cross-market by having our talent appear in Pizza Hut ads. Currently, WWE has their superstars appearing in Cricket Wireless ads. According to an article on Adweek.com, in its partnership with Argonaut, Cricket Wireless is tapping into the sense of nostalgia that wrestling action figures can bring with an added dose of humor. Teaming up with the longtime sponsorship partner WWE, the campaign is tapping wrestling superstars to inform consumers about its 5G network. We as a company can do something similar by having our talent appear in commercials for our sponsors. Now, for fan engagement. For EPW, we have several ideas how we plan to implement fan engagement. One of our plans is to have autographs and photo ops with our talent prior to events for fans who are interested. This will mainly be done at pay-per-views. This is something that is common at wrestling shows, mainly indie shows, and will be a great way for our fans to interact and engage with our roster. We are also planning post-show pro podcast for when our Tuesday show, EPW Blitz, ends, as well as after our pay-per-view events. We will have our announcers discuss what happened during the event and where they see future storylines and feuds going. We will also have talent appear on the podcast to discuss what they plan to do with the wrestlers with whom they are feuding with and what their plans are at EPW. This podcast will be half a work, meaning it's part of the script, and half a shoot, meaning that it's not part of the script. Doing this will entice fans to listen to the podcast and could also take us up on the podcast charts. Now, for PR, public relations, and media activations. Our plan is to have press conferences before each pay-per-view for members of wrestling media outlets to ask questions of our talent. We will also stream the press conferences through our website EliteProWrestling.com so fans are able to watch the press conference wherever they are. We also plan to have our talent appear at local charities to show support for the city in which we are holding the event. Doing this will help EPW appear in a more positive light and gain us good PR. Some ideas are local animal shelters and children's hospitals. Now, the sponsorship level and ROI. Pizza Hut will be used as a promotional sponsor, as they will be the ones presenting our first pay-per-view for that year, First Blood. For WrestleMania 32, Snickers was the main sponsor for the event and helped promote the event. According to an article on allsdaily.com, Snickers was a sponsor for WrestleMania 32 earlier this year, the highest grossing, most watched, and most social event in WWE history, totaling $17.3 million and reaching 1.8 million homes. Snickers snacked on 1.5 billion impressions for the brand across WWE's and NBC Universal's global platforms, according to the WWE, further proving that the fervent fan base was eating everything that the two Titans were dishing out. They even announced their partnership on the TV before a match. If Pizza Hut can promote our event the same way Snickers promoted WrestleMania, I believe that we can see a similar ROI as WWE had for WrestleMania 32. Now, for how we will manage the sponsorship partner. Our plan is to feature Pizza Hut at all our events as a major sponsor. We'll ensure that all of the biggest events of the year are sponsored by them and that they are showcased while still obtaining sponsorships from other companies. We will also make sure that any of our sponsors' executives are accompanied when attending events, making sure that they have luxury suites access that they can use, as well as a chance to meet talent if they desire. Advantages to our proposal. One of our major advantages is that we'll be able to take on WWE with what the fans want. Professional wrestling, as opposed to sports entertainment. We can be the next big wrestling company that can take the wrestling world by storm, similar to how WCW did in the late 90s when they competed with the WWF. We have a chance to draw on WWE and AEW's current fans while also bringing in new wrestling fans, which will increase our profit margin and in turn bring in sponsors. Now for the next steps. After we have our first pay-per-view, First Blood, we will launch our weekly Tuesday evening program, EPW Blitz. This will air from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on CBS, a network that hasn't had wrestling in its history. We also plan to have other pay-per-views throughout the year, but not so many that we oversaturate the fans, something which WWE is guilty of. Throughout the season, we will tour the country, thereby giving the fans opportunities to meet our talent and bring in new fans and sponsors, which will lead us to a higher income generation.